Welcome back, everyone, to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. My name is Hunter, and we have a lot to unpack in today's weather forecast package as we are looking ahead to more extreme heat and humidity across North America, and we're going to be diving into that, more rounds of severe weather, and our first real substantial tropical system to watch of the hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin. We'll get to that later on in the video, and we will also cover the 4th of July holiday forecast as well. So if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. We cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics. Make sure to like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below after you do watch the video if you do like it. Also, leave any comments, questions, concerns below. We'll get to those later on today. So let's look here at our heat headlines that continue across portions of the Red River Valley. Down there into Texas Hill Country, in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we have excessive heat warnings as we are gearing up for a very hot afternoon down here. Even more heat advisories across the eastern Carolinas and coastal Carolinas as well. And the green over here into the Four Corners region, an area that has been parched by moisture, is actually going to see flood watches because of that monsoonal moisture being tossed up and over that ridge as we go through the next couple of days. So let's first look here at the forecast with our high temperatures this afternoon. Now, a nice reprieve up here across the Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Northeast. Do enjoy your temperatures cooling off up there. Open the windows, go outdoors for outdoor activities such as walking, running, walking the dog, stuff like that. Lots of great weather up there with our temperatures. To the south, it's hot. It's across portions of Texas where we have those heat advisories, those excessive heat warnings. Heat index values today down here will actually be into the triple digits and well above the 100-degree mark in a lot of spots here. 113 in Wichita Falls, 110 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, down to Waco, 108 in Houston, and even 105 in Tyler, Texas. So it's going to be very hot this afternoon. And that heat yesterday brought some pretty substantial severe weather to parts of the eastern and southeastern U.S. A lot of wind reports here in the blue and a few tornado reports, especially in southwestern Pennsylvania yesterday in and around the Pittsburgh area. We saw 5 tornado reports confirmed yesterday across that region, and more storm energy starting to build up across the Great Plains this afternoon that is going to lead to another day of significant severe thunderstorms this afternoon, this evening, and overnight. The Storm Prediction Center's Day 1 outlook has an enhanced risk of severe weather across eastern Montana, the western and central Dakotas down there into west central portions of Nebraska. That slight risk extending down even into the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, and Kansas. And then another slight risk back over here in an unusual area of eastern Utah and western Colorado. So let's look here at our hazards these storms could bring us. We could be seeing some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour wherever you see these colors on here, whether it's brown, yellow, or red. And where you see these dash shaded lines across eastern Montana, the western part of the Dakotas, into the Nebraska Panhandle, that's where we could see hurricane force wind gusts over 75 miles per hour. Hailstones could be pretty big out there too, over 2 inches in diameter. That is hen egg size or larger, especially again where you see these dash shaded lines. And the tornado threat is formidable. In the green, you have a 2% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile point of any given point in there, and then also a 5% chance from the Glasgow area back just west of Bismarck to Rapid City and almost to the North Platte area as we go through the day today. Let's walk you through the timing. This is what the radar could look like this afternoon. You can see we have some isolated supercells starting to fire up there from Montana down into Wyoming there in Colorado. Some shower activity with rumbles of thunder that is non-severe ahead of that here. That is what we call warm air advection. It's basically just surging of that warm air further north leading to lift, and we have a lot of that shower activity across Minnesota, Iowa, and eastern Nebraska. Now, as we go into the evening, that warm air advection is going to come in with a cold front, and rightfully so. We're going to see some supercell thunderstorms, some lines of storms, and this Boeing line up here into the western Dakotas could prove worthy of 75 plus mile per hour winds this evening. Big hailstones, potentially even some tornadoes along the way as well, with some of these isolated and semi-discrete supercells. And then early Friday morning, I think all this activity pushes east. The severe weather threat after midnight will begin to wane. But the heavy rainfall threat will still be there from Minnesota. Unfortunately, yes, hard hit Minnesota by the rainfall lately, all the way down here into Iowa, into Kansas, and parts of Missouri through your early Friday morning commute. Waking up Friday morning, you have to head off to work or any type of event out there. It's going to be mild, especially down here near the Gulf Coast, starting off the day into the upper 70s to low 80s, and a higher springboard of which to start. That means our temperatures Friday afternoon will be right back into the 90s and triple digits for places like the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Oklahoma City near Tulsa, back here in Wichita Falls, Amarillo, Lubbock. All these areas will be very hot Friday afternoon, and when you factor in what the air will truly feel like to the body out there with the moisture content in the environment, yeah, look at that. 115 in Tulsa, 111 in Oklahoma City, in Wichita Falls, 113 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 104 in Wichita, Kansas. So it's going to be hot down there. And not to mention, not just only that area, but the southeast as well as we go into Friday afternoon. And that will, again, lead to more storm energy out there across the middle of the country. So another slight risk across portions of the plains into the Midwest there. We'll be watching for severe weather. And this could lead to some more hurricane force wind gusts, 75 miles per hour or greater, from the front range of the Rockies into northeastern Colorado there, into portions of Nebraska and Kansas, but also some of those bigger hailstones as well. And the tornado threat is, again, a 2 to a 5% shading. The 2% in the green, 5% into the brown, especially around the Topeka, Kansas City area there and south of Omaha. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. Friday morning, we have a lot of rainfall moving across the Midwest here. Basically, this is going to be your general garden variety type thunderstorms. Now, with that said, a few isolated severe storms would not be ruled out across this region. Especially there into Iowa and Missouri going into Friday afternoon. We still see those rumbling across the Midwest. So I think Chicago, even though you are in a marginal risk for severe weather there on Friday, I think a lot of the cloud cover and rainfall will kind of hinder a lot of that storm energy from building. But further west in that slight risk, that's where we're going to have some of that energy building with storms taking a break there. The atmosphere recovers, more storms Friday evening, and then that will push across portions of the Midwest early Saturday morning, posing a risk for heavy rain, but also all hazards of severe weather, damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes. So as we go into the weekend, here is the center of the ridge. No surprise, Red River Valley City down here. We have a lot of heat across portions of the Red River Valley as we go into the weekend. And you can see the temperature anomalies are very respective of that. You can see well above average temperatures across the Red River Valley, also out west, but there's a trough. There's a trough across the north, and that is going to lead to more of this beautiful weather with temperatures across the northern plains, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, northern Illinois, into Michigan there. Looking at our high temperatures Saturday afternoon, here are your highs, and you can see into the hundreds again into portions of Texas, into Oklahoma. You can see more triple-digit heat index values Saturday afternoon across the lower Mississippi Valley, southern plains. And then Sunday, yeah, the heat doesn't go really anywhere. It's still across the south there, and those heat index values are still pretty extreme. But look to the north. A lot of cooler weather further to the north. We'll keep a close eye on that. Looking at Saturday, we have a cold front moving through. This is the same storm system bringing the storms today and tomorrow, and tomorrow on Friday. That'll move through portions of the Ohio Valley back there toward the plains with a sprawling area of a marginal slight risk of severe weather there on Saturday. New storm moves in, again, a lot of the same areas here over the crest of that ridge, the top of that ridge. We see the jet stream very strong, the highway of storms, if you will, and you have more of that slight risk of severe weather in eastern Montana, western North Dakota there on Sunday. Looking here at Saturday, there's the cold front. You can see some showers and storms. A few of those could become severe from the Ohio Valley back there toward the southern plains. Sunday comes along, it's more of a southeast event with those popcorn type storms here with that ridge, and then back there toward the plains. And here is the rainfall amount. Saturday, mainly heavy rain across the northeast New England down into the mid-Atlantic, including the Appalachians, the Poconos here into Pennsylvania. And then back there on Sunday, we see some of that heavier rain maybe for the Delmarva region, back toward eastern North Carolina, northeastern South Carolina, parts of Florida there with the lake breeze. And then you can see as we go in towards next week, Yeah, the pattern stays the same. So we have more high pressure across the southeast, another trough moving in on the crest of that ridge over the top, and here is the temperature anomalies next week. This takes you from Monday, July 1st, as we turn the page to July, all the way through the 4th of July timeframe on Thursday, and then into Friday, July 5th. A lot of the same areas with the heat and the cooler weather to the north, because we have more of that active weather. And look at, unfortunately, river flooding is going to be significant up here. I think low-lying areas such as ditches, farmlands, going to be very flooded out in a lot of these areas because saturated soils is definitely a real thing up here. So here we go on Monday, another storm system kicking off of the Rockies into the northern plains, bringing us potentially more severe weather. This is a day 5 slight risk for South Dakota and Nebraska. Then as we go into Tuesday, I think possibly more severe weather for parts of Wisconsin, Iowa, northern Illinois, Michigan as we go into Tuesday. Wednesday, maybe more severe weather there in some of the same areas. Thursday, new storm comes across the country there on 4th of July. Unfortunately, looks pretty wet across the Corn Belt there. There will be some dry time, but I think some wet weather from the Dakotas, Nebraska, down here toward Missouri and the Ozarks region. And then as we go into Friday, that will continue again. A lot of the same areas, the upper Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Great Lakes. Looking at the rainfall totals next week from Monday, July 1st through Friday, July 5th, this does also include the 4th of July holiday time frame, and you can see a lot of the rainfall totals adding up here in the oranges and reds, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches here in some of these areas as we go through that 5-day period next week. Turning over to the tropical weather update here, there's a lot to get to here as well. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida has 2 areas of investigation. The first area kind of dwindling before our very eyes. This still has a lot of time to develop before it reaches the east coast of Mexico, but it's going to be moving over land over the next 24 hours and then over the Bay of Campeche. So a limited residence time over the warm waters there of the Western Caribbean or the Bay of Campeche. Our main focus, though, is on the main development region. The MDR is what we call it here. In the National Hurricane Center, very bullish, 80% very likely chance of something developing here. And this tropical wave is really far away from the Lesser Antilles still. And you can see, though, the Caribbean and the tropical Atlantic here in parts of the western main development region, the western MDR, is very much above average. And we have to look here at the probabilities from some of the ensemble guidance. Here's the tropical depression probability percentage. This takes you through the 4th of July, and it's near certainty the Lesser Antilles, at least the southern islands, will get hit by a tropical depression. Pretty much a near certainty of a tropical storm on the southernmost islands there, the Lesser Antilles, getting into the eastern Caribbean as well. And there is even medium chances, up to 40% chances or so, that we could see a hurricane even into the central and eastern Caribbean, getting very close to the Dominican Republic, getting very close to Puerto Rico as we go in towards the middle and end of next week. So let's look at this under the lens a little bit more. This weekend, here's that 30% system that's moving across the Bay of Campeche. That will have limited residence time over the warm water. So whatever that becomes, probably just going to be a rainmaker, maybe a tropical depression if it slows down a little bit over the Bay of Campeche. The 80% chance system is just to the east of the Lesser Antilles this weekend organizing, and then that will move across the Lesser Antilles, and a lot of those ensemble pressure tracks are moving that into the eastern Caribbean early next week, say that Monday, Tuesday time frame, and then late next week. Where this goes is very uncertain. This could turn north toward the Bahamas and move over the greater Antilles with some land interaction, or it could stay in the Western Caribbean over the warm waters and strengthen even further, or even potentially, which is still less likely, but maybe even turn more southwest towards Central America. So there's a large cone of uncertainty here that literally goes from almost Bermuda back here towards Central America. That's why we only look at hurricanes and stuff like that up to 5 days out here. So let's look at that through late next week. That's around that Thursday, Friday time frame. Now, something that could hinder the development, at least at first with this system, is this weekend's kind of the Saharan dust just to the east of the Lesser Antilles. It's going through an area that has a lot of that dry air, but watch as it moves into the eastern Caribbean, like some of the ensemble pressure tracks show early next week, Monday, Tuesday time frame. Look at the dust is actually a lot stronger in the main development region, but that system will be in the eastern Caribbean, so it's going to be outrunning the dry air. So it does have a chance here, and I think as we go into late next week, some of that dry air gets into the eastern part of the Caribbean, but by then this system will either be by the Bahamas, in the western Caribbean, or Central America by then. And see, look at, there's not much dust around. So This system has a very favorable environment to develop in, so this could be our first substantial system and our first hurricane of the 2024 hurricane season in the Atlantic. We'll keep a close eye on that. Eastern Pacific Ocean, you can hear a pin drop here. Very, very quiet across portions of the Eastern Pacific over the next 7 days. The National Hurricane Center, Miami, Florida, does not think there's going to be any systems to watch here. We'll keep a close eye on that all season long. Thank y'all for watching. I know it was a long video today, a lot to get to. Like the video if you did like today's weather forecast by giving it a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the channel. We do cover North America, Southern Canada, the United States, the tropics. I'll have another weather forecast video out for you guys tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. My name is Hunter with Weather on the Go. I'll see you all tomorrow.